St. Augustine is one of the most influential theologians in world history. In the words of Peter Kraft, no one man had a greater influence on 1,000 years of medieval philosophy and Western thought as did Augustine, with perhaps an exception being made to Socrates. Most famously, Augustine synthesized faith and reason, as he was a great admirer of Plato and his writings on the forums. But before he was a saint, before he was even a Christian, Augustine was lost in sin. There was one grave error that he made which didn't only keep him away from the faith, it led him to a heresy that nearly ruined his soul. Today we'll be discussing this heresy, the grave mistake Augustine made, and how it nearly ruined him. So what exactly was Augustine's grave mistake? Well, in a word, he effectively misunderstood the problem of evil. See, growing up, Augustine was well educated. He understood the classics. He loved Cicero, he loved philosophy in general, but his big hang-up with theology, and especially Christianity, was the problem of evil, and specifically the fact that he couldn't conceptualize how a good and loving God could allow so much suffering and evil to exist in reality. So while this young man rejected Christian theology, he still looked for religion, but he ended up turning to a 4th century religion that really caught his eyes and satisfied his intellect. And this religion is called Manichaeism. But what exactly was Manichaeism? I mean, it's, again, an obscure religion, but it's one that had Augustine for about a decade he would practice it. It gave him intellectual certainty, but it made him miserable. And in fact, in hindsight, he discusses how this false religion very nearly destroyed his soul and led him to untold amounts of just pure suffering and agony. So what exactly was wrong with Manichaeism? What did it believe? What did it express? What did it preach? And why did this cause Augustine, such a great soul and such a great mind, so much unhappiness? Manichaeism preached dualism, that there were two opposing forces in the universe at war with one another. You have the light, the good, effectively the good God, and you have the darkness, or the evil, the bad God. So this made sense, and effectively it appealed to Augustine because he could understand the problem of evil and suffering now. It doesn't belong to the good God, it belongs to the bad God outside of me. It's external. It made him blind to the reality of evil and pain and suffering. And therefore, one day when a deep, deep, deep tragedy came knocking at his door, it completely crushed him. What exactly happened to Augustine? Well, he had a friend that he loved nearly and dearly named Nebridius. And Nebridius died at a young age, I think in his 20s. And nonetheless, when he died, it just broke Augustine. He couldn't even explain his grief. That Manichaeism, it had all the answers. Oh, it's the external forces of evil, but none of this changed the fact that Augustine was heartbroken, and that even though he practiced all of the sanctifying rituals of his religion, nothing was curing his ailing heart, nothing was satisfying his mind. In fact, the more that he seemed to practice Manichaeism, the more insane and unsure of himself in reality he felt like. So ultimately, this grief of his best friend's loss, it basically broke him. Like, yes, Augustine was able to continue moving onward in life, but he was never able to find happiness or peace or solace that he once thought he had in Manichaeism. There was this almost existential dread of, what if this religion is a lie, and therefore what if everything is a lie, but yet why do I still hurt so much? Why is my heart just in complete agony? So once again, he'll never make a full recovery back to Manichaeism, but he will renew his search for truth. He's like, where do I go from here? There has to be an answer to this aching heart. See, Augustine was, despite his religious beliefs, he was also a very career-oriented man. He loved honor. He loved vainglory. He wanted to get ahead in society, and he had a great reputation as a speaker. He trained people in the art of rhetoric to teach them how to lead persuasive arguments so that they could advance in society. He ends up taking a professional assignment to Milan, and here he meets this remarkable bishop, Bishop Ambrose. He greets him like a father would, and Augustine never had a great father figure in his life, so it starts to speak to Augustine's heart. He goes, well, what is this like love? Like, this man doesn't even know me, and yet he's like treating me as one of my own. He starts to attend the man's sermons. First, he just wants to listen to the man through the ears of a rhetorician, like, oh, how eloquent is he? What are his mannerisms, his ways of speaking? Does he use poetry, and so on and so forth? He finds that he doesn't really care for Ambrose's speaking style so much, but he starts to listen to Ambrose's words, and he begins to realize that Christianity is far richer than he had otherwise understood it to be. He learned that there's that Scripture is not just meant to be something literally taken at face value as he falsely believed, but that there are multiple ways and layers and levels of interpretation, especially allegory. So this kind of imbues him with a humility of, my gosh, I've been living a lie for 9 or so years with this Manichaeism that I thought was so true that tends to be false. And now this Christian religion all of a sudden seems far deeper than I ever thought before. In the midst of this philosophical freefall, a very good Greek friend comes into Augustine's life at this time, which is Plato. So Plato, of course, one of the greatest philosophers in the history of mankind, and what Plato was known for was writing on the forms, that there's a transcendental form of goodness and a transcendental form of truth and beauty that transcends reality beyond the intellect, beyond time and space and matter. And this is a breakthrough for Augustine to hear, because Augustine thought that all of reality was confined to time and space and nature. And now for the very first time, this hallmark of Greek use of reason, this great Greek thinker, helps him realize, wait, there is a reality beyond that which I can conceive of. It ties into this greater sense of humility that's ushered forth out of Augustine's broken, soft, and humbled heart. So Augustine eventually converts to Christianity at 32, and with his conversion, he solves the logical problem of evil, namely, how can a good God allow evil and suffering? And the logical solution is effectively, well, it's logically sound that a good and loving God would give man the freedom to choose good and evil, rather than force men to live goodness and not have the freedom to live as they would so desire. Logically, evil is solved, but I think even more important was Augustine began to get to the root of the emotional problem of suffering as well, which is even if you could intellectually and logically understand why a good God lets you suffer, well, how do I make sense of it when life takes me out, when my best friend dies, or I suffer a huge tragedy that I just feel the floor fall out from under me? What is the actual answer of comfort and solace and strength that I can find when I want to effectively die? And Augustine's answer is, well, it's long and eloquent, but it's said much more succinctly in the writings of C.S. Lewis, which is that God effectively allows you to have a broken heart because a broken heart allows the light to shine through that which would otherwise be hardened and whole. And it's only through the lightness of a broken heart that a heart can truly be made whole. You get built down and broken down such that grace can trickle in and make you, as Hemingway would say, strong in the broken and weak places. And hence, through the humility of suffering, if you offer it up and open yourself up to that which is grace, then all of a sudden grace comes to your side, and now that which is hurting you is sanctifying you because you are carrying your cross. So to recap, Augustine's path to solving the problem of pain, evil, and suffering was first to be brokenhearted. It was Nebridius's death that completely shattered his certainty and made him humble and open to say, well, what is the meaning of life? To become curious rather than seeking rational certainty. And it was in this curiosity that he turned to the great minds and thinkers like Plato to learn about a transcendental reality. And it was through the loving kindness and charity of speakers like Bishop Ambrose that helped him really discern that charity, that divine sense of love that is the willing the good of the other, is the foundation and bedrock of all virtues and all that is good, that truly transforms not just your mind, not just your life, but your heart as well, such that the very world of pain and suffering you find yourself in is not just meaningless or something to be conquered, but something that helps exalt you so long as you carry your cross faithfully. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and comment and subscribe. Anything you do will go a long way in helping my baby channel here grow. And also, if you are a Christian man who's looking to get in shape and to learn more about the great books in Scripture and tie it all together, I am currently taking new clients for my faith-based fitness coaching. The link will be below in the description for you to check out if you are interested. Yeah, thank you so much, my friends, and I hope you all have a blessed day.